What's up, EFD squad, and welcome back to Euro Roundup, where we go around all the weekend's action from Europe and tell you who's been good and who's not been so good. Sent in by you on Twitter, obviously. The first winner comes in from @NathanTall, and he says Jadon Sancho. Pat, why is that?
The 19-year-old's incredible season continues. Scored a brace to give Dortmund a 2-1 victory over Mainz and keep them in the hunt for a Bundesliga title. Now he becomes the youngest player to ever score 11 Bundesliga goals, and he's on 10 goals and 13 assists in 29 Bundesliga games in 18-19. So that's 23 goal involvements in just 22 starts. Incredible. In fact, I believe he's one of 4, possibly 5 players now around Europe to have got into double figures for goals and assists in league play this season. I've got his per 90 stats in front of me. They're disgusting. 1.6 shots a game, that's pretty good. 2.6 key passes, that's outrageous. 3.9 dribbles, unbelievable. And 0.8 combined expected goals and assists per 90. That is tremendous. That basically means that he's expected to contribute to 4 goals and assists every 5 appearances. Truly unbelievable numbers. He's completed 29 dribbles, more than the next best dribbler in Germany, which is Thorgan Hazard, and only 6 players can top his 90 completed dribbles across Europe's top 5 leagues this season. Anyway, it was a great response, of course, after Dortmund suffered that 5-0 embarrassing loss against Bayern Munich. Bayern won 4-1 away at Fortuna Düsseldorf, so they do stay ahead, but Dortmund are there ready to capitalise if any mistakes occur. Anyway, weren't really at their best in the game, Sancho aside. Mainz had 17 shots with 9 on target. Wow. Dortmund had 12 with 7 on target. XG had it at 2.9 to Mainz and 2.1 to Borussia Dortmund. So fans a little bit shortchanged to only see 3 goals. But that's really down to Roman Bürki in the Dortmund goal, who made an incredible triple save to give them the 3 points.
So good, and really kept him in the game, didn't he? Sandro Schwarz, the Mainz manager, will be disappointed his team only had centre-forward Quaison's 82nd minute consolation to show for their efforts. And especially as it continues the club's really poor run of form. 2 wins from their last 12 games and 10 defeats has seen them drop to 12th. Really not a great time to be a Mainz fan. Their main issue, if you hadn't guessed already, a lack of goals. Only the bottom 4 sides in the Bully have scored fewer than their 34 in 29 games thus far. However, there is one kind of silver lining to all this, one to watch from this season for Mainz. Jean-Philippe Mateta, the 21-year-old Frenchman, has 10 goals and 1 assist in 25 games this season. He's averaging 3.2 shots, 1.2 dribbles and 1 key pass, 0.4 expected goals per 90. Very, very good stuff from the youngster. So hopefully in the long run, if they can keep hold of him in the summer, good things will come. Obviously, we spoke about Jadon Sancho before having an absolutely outrageous season and carrying it on here, but a shout out must go to Thomas Delaney in the Borussia Dortmund midfield. 87% pass sack on the day, 9 tackles and interceptions, 5 aerial duels won, 2 shots and obviously 1 assist for his 18-year-old teammate. And he'll need to carry on this kind of form as Dortmund approach the end of the season. 5 games left now, and they're relatively tough actually. Freiburg, Schalke, Werder Bremen, Düsseldorf and Mönchengladbach. All very winnable, but there are a couple of potential banana skins in there, isn't it? Especially Schalke, who are looking to consolidate their status in the Bully. Big derby there, Mönchengladbach, who are in 5th. So yeah, do you think they can do it? I'm not so sure. Let us know in the poll.
Our first losers pretty much picked themselves this week. It's obviously PSG after a horrible result for them last night. At Football Made Sim made sure that we saw this one. What happened in their game against Lille?
Well, they were thrashed 5-1, meaning they missed out on the chance to wrap up Ligue 1 for the 2nd weekend in a row. Obviously, it will happen at some stage, but they're not doing a very good job of it at the moment. Second place Lille took the lead after just 7 minutes through a woeful own goal from Thomas Meunier, but Le Parisien did instantly reply with a smart finish from Bernat before he was sent off towards the end of the half, fouling Nicolas Pepe, who appeared to be the last man. But it did seem a little bit harsh, especially at that point in a game of this magnitude. The away side then struggled with 10 men, especially having lost Thiago Silva and Meunier through injury in the first half, so 3 of their back 4 out for the second half. Pepe restored the host lead, finishing off a 1-on-1, which is very, very composed finish from him, as we're used to seeing, before Jonathan Bamba smashed in at the near post for his 11th goal of the season, and then defenders Gabriel and Jose Font both making it 5. Jose Font with an absolute rocket of a header. It's actually the first time since December 2000 that PSG have conceded at least 5 goals in a league game. So the first time this has happened in the kind of Nasser Al-Khalifi era. As for Lille, it's the first time they've scored 5 goals against the league leaders since May 1952, when they won 6-0 against Nice. One for the history books, that. But Pat, what did you make of PSG's performance in general?
Well, there are some promising elements. I mean, PSG had 56% of the possession despite being down to 10 men for the majority of the game. They had 10 shots to Lille's 15, so you perhaps wouldn't expect such a wide margin of victory. And of course, Di Maria was out, Neymar was out, Cavani was out. They were very reliant on Mbappe, who got a truly remarkable assist for Bernat's goal. Draxler started with him up front. Dani Alves was playing in a midfield 3. It was an extremely experimental lineup. And that was kind of shown by the fact that Lille were just able to counter-attack through the heart of that midfield. Verratti was beaten by an opponent on 4 occasions. That's more than anyone else on the pitch. But Lille is absolutely not the team who you want to have a soft centre against. Obviously, Nicolas Pepe having an incredible season. He got a goal and 2 assists, completed 3 key passes and 3 dribbles. That's a game high. He's now got 19 goals and 11 assists in Ligue 1 this season. And the other key performers were great as well. Jonathan Bamba got a goal, 89% pass accuracy, which is absurd for a forward, and 3 tackles, which was a game high. He joined them on a free from Saint-Etienne in the summer. He's only 22. And Jonathan Ikone, who actually came out of the PSG Academy, I think Lille paid €5 million for him. 2 assists in this game, 4 key passes, also a game high, 20 years old. So the potential of this front line, even if they lose Pepe, very, very exciting. Next up, a trip away to Toulouse, while Tuchel's side have a 3rd opportunity to try and seal the title on Wednesday with a trip to Nantes.
Our second winner comes from @MaxVigor2 on Twitter. He said AC Milan, Pato. What has gone on there?
Well, Milan had a big game in the race for Champions League football this weekend, facing Lazio at the San Siro, and they won 1-0 thanks to a penalty from Franck Kessié after Matteo Musacchio was stupidly taken down in the box by substitute Riza Dormisi, who had just been introduced. It was his first involvement in the game. Anyway, up to 5 goals now for Kessié, who's starting to replicate the form we saw from him at Atalanta. Now, Milan had been awarded a penalty earlier in the game, which was subsequently overturned by VAR. It was a handball decision. And so it was a little bit unsure whether they were going to be able to make the breakthrough. It was a very tight affair, possession about even. Both sides had 10+ shots. But Gattuso's team have started to find their resilience again. This is their first win in 5 league matches, but they're now 6 points ahead of Lazio. And actually, facing Lazio might not have held the fear that we might have expected. They're unbeaten against them at home in Serie A since 1989. Played 29, won 18, drawn 11. Truly remarkable. And Simone Inzaghi must be a little bit disappointed with his away form at the moment, because if they don't make the Champions League, that's what's going to have cost Lazio. They've lost 5 of their last 8 matches away from home in Serie A. Which is, truly Arsenal form. And that's as many as they'd lost in their previous 19 away games in the competition. So, to be honest with you, they're going to need to really pick up over the last few games of the season and hope that the teams ahead of them falter.
Yeah, and at the moment, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. AC Milan had a number of outstanding performers on the day, including Hakan Çalhanoğlu, having a very good season as he proved to be a handful all game and probably should have got himself on the score sheet. He had 7 shots, completed 4 dribbles and had 79 touches, which was the most for the Rossoneri. Defender David Calabria also deserves a shout out at right back. 22-year-old completed 4 tackles, 3 interceptions, 2 clearances and 2 key passes. A real total fullback performance from him. Although Lazio lost the game, Ciro Immobile had a very decent game as well, leading the line. 4 shots, 3 key passes and 3 dribbles. He'll feel aggrieved that he was on the losing side. But this also wasn't without controversy either. Tiémoué Bakayoko and Kessié had to apologise after the game because they held up Francesco Acerbi's shirt almost like a trophy after Acerbi had been bad-mouthing AC Milan a little bit before the match. I think he said there was no comparison between the sides and that Lazio was stronger. Immobile then went out on Twitter afterwards and called the Milan duo 2 little men. So loving this kind of very petty beef between the two sides that has emerged, and especially with the fact that they are playing in the Coppa Italia. Second leg, it's all to play for in the semi-final. 0-0 from the first leg, and that is happening, I believe, next Wednesday. So keep your eyes out for that one. Let's move on to our final losers.
At Seville 3-1-2 has our final losers, and appropriately enough, it was in the Seville derby. Real Betis make our losers. Why is that, the Cubs?
Well, because they lost a thrilling Seville derby 3-2. Goals from Munier, Sarabia and Vasquez for Sevilla, and Lo Celso and Tello for the visitors. It continues Betis' awful record at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. They have won just one of their last 6 league meetings. They're losing the other 5. And it looked like they were going to lose from early on. Munir's headed goal separated them at half-time. That was his second goal since moving from Barca. But then things got a bit interesting in the second half. 4 high-quality goals in 27 second-half minutes saw Joaquin Caparrós' side come out as victors. This result continues Betis' recent iffy form. They've won just one of their last 5 league games. Not great, having been 6th after a 1-0 victory over Atleti on February the 3rd. Just 3 wins in their last 10 games has seen them drop to 9th. And that could get even worse, would you believe it? Because there are just 6 points separating 7th placed Bilbao from 13th placed Leganes. Anything could happen this year in La Liga. It's been really topsy-turvy, and it could really take a shine off what was an excellent start to the season from Quique Setien's side. But what did you think of Sevilla, Pat?
Well, Sevilla are starting to rediscover a little bit of form. Obviously, they had that horrible period between the middle of January and the beginning of March where they got 1 win from 8 games, but they've now won 5 of their last 6. They're up to 4th. They've scored 13 goals in those games and only conceded 5, which, to be honest with you, was predicted by expected goals. Like that period they had, it looked like the performances were much better than the results, and they were perhaps a little bit silly to let go of Pablo Machín, whereas you think Valencia, on the other hand, kept Marcelino despite some of the issues that he had earlier in the season. I think they were pretty good value for this result too. If you just look at the shot numbers, it's kind of 12 for Betis, 11 for Sevilla, 7 on target for Betis, 5 on target for Sevilla. But when you look at the expected goals, 2.3 for Sevilla, 1.1 for Betis. So I think that makes it pretty clear who the winners should have been. And actually, expected goals suggest that overall in the season, Sevilla should have scored 7 more goals and have 5 more points, which would take them up to 2nd in the table. So it really does show how sometimes you need to look below the results. Obviously, as usual, it was a pretty feisty affair. The entire Sevilla backline got booked in this game, but a couple of key performers we'd like to highlight. William Carvalho for Betis, 2 tackles, 3 aerial duels, one dribble from William Carvalho. Nice. 92% pass act from the base of midfield. And Sarabia, who is just out of this world. I was talking before about players who've got into double figures for goals and assists this season. He's on 11 goals and 11 assists in 29 La Liga games, 2 key passes, 4 shots, 1 goal, 1 assist in this match. And next up, a trip to 5th placed Getafe, who of course are just a point behind them. So the race for Champions League football, extremely hot over in Spain.
We finish off with our start of the week, and this one comes from @Sakampofu. It's no surprise who it is it, Pat?
No, it's 19-year-old Benfica forward João Felix, who has become the toast of Europe. 16 starts this season in Liga NOS, 11 goals and 6 assists. In midweek, got a hat-trick in the quarter-finals of the Europa League against Eintracht Frankfurt to give his side a 4-2 advantage going into the second leg. And then this weekend versus Setúbal, another 4-2 victory. This time he got a goal and 2 assists, 5 shots, 2 key passes. So with 7 goal involvements in his last 2 games, you can kind of see why people are talking about him being like Cristiano Ronaldo. It might not just be a nationality thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And much like CR7, he is being rumoured for a €100 million move to Serie A, as Juventus are apparently keeping tabs on the youngster. I mean, I doubt they would spend that much, but apparently they've launched a £65 million bid last week. But apparently Benfica rejected it and are holding out for over 100 mil.
Pretty bold.
If they were to go for that, I mean, they'd definitely have to sell Dybala this summer, wouldn't they? I don't see how they'd fund that kind of move, especially for a player who's only really, just one season of madness in Liga NOS as well.
Portugal.
Yeah, I mean,
Pure
you don't
Portugal
really
numbers.
hear of that happening. Real Madrid, Barca and Man United all been linked with him as well. I mean, Barcelona, would they go for him unless they saw him as a long-term Suarez replacement? Not sure. Real Madrid, perhaps they've got so many young attackers already on their books. Man United, probably going to go for Sancho instead. So
When Ryla was running things, you'd have been straight in for João Felix.
Oh,
150 mil on the table.
Why not? Yeah, would have happened. But what do you guys reckon? Where will João Felix go this summer? Let us know in the comments below, and we may as well round it up there, Pat.
Yeah.
Where should they go next?
Obviously, head over to Football Daily and check out Winners and Losers, where we take a look at the best of the action from the Premier League this weekend. Obviously, with a focus on Lucas Moura's hat-trick for Spurs and Chelsea's loss against Liverpool. Make sure that you like this video and, of course, subscribe to EFD if you want to see more great content, and we'll see you next time.